What shall we talk about, sir?
Well, last time, at the end, I was suggesting the question of the three qualities. You could say, or whatever, we call them truth, intelligence, and truth, wisdom, and intelligence.
That's right.
And the relation possibly to experience.
That's right. We're going to talk about that. Knowledge is in the field of reality, and we are operating on knowledge.
Yes. And then we use experience, to gain knowledge and to apply our knowledge and so on.
All that. Then what has knowledge any relationship to truth?
No, you see, at first sight it might have, but it doesn't actually.
No, actually not.
You see, I was looking at it. Thought has no relation.
Then what is wisdom, which is not the movement of thought? Has it got a place, a seat? Is it a living thing, or is it an accumulated experience?
Well, yes, I mean, it's clear that it's a living thing, but you see, I think we should discuss then, since you brought in the word experience,
yes,
we must discuss it. You see, because that is another one of these very ambiguous words. Now, I've thought the word experience has many meanings, but one of the meanings is to put to the test, and like the same word as peril, and another meaning is to go through, as in per. But I think it seems to me there are there are two aspects of experience. You see, if you're working in some practical domain, you need experience to learn, you see.
Of course.
All right, and that, so we're saying that experience is thought, basically. See, there was one interesting definition of experience which was given by some philosopher, Immanuel Kant, who said it's a combination of sensation and thought, which seemed good to me. You see that the
combination of sensation and thought.
And these thoughts are the basic categories, the basic discriminations. In other words, you don't only have sensation, but there's an immediate thought too fast for to be seen.
Yes.
In which there's a discrimination or a category, like cause and effect, or any good and bad, and so on, pleasant and unpleasant, and therefore you could say that is experience. In some sense, experience, I say, is the contact with reality. I don't know if that makes sense to you. You see that experience, proper experience in practical affairs, is what you mean by something being real.
Can you experience truth?
No, you can experience reality.
Yeah, quite.
That's what I wanted to say.
Right.
That reality is what can be experienced.
Yes.
And the sense of reality is important in the experience. You see, the
yes.
fact that you have a sensation or a contact,
yes.
Sort of a feeling that it is real, I am real.
Quite.
And the whole thing is real, you see. Now, on the other hand, you see, if you try to experience truth or love or beauty or something, then it has no meaning, you see, there's no place. So experience goes wrong when thought tries to go out of its place.
Out of its limits.
Out of its limits. You see, the same as, I would say, the way it seems to me also, it's interesting, you could say you experience pain or pleasure or experience desire.
Yes, yes.
You see, and in those experiencing desire, it seems to me, would be a case of thought going out of its limits.
Yes,
right?
quite. Now, to see the whole of that, the operation of thought, the limitation of thought, the thought sensation, and thought accumulating knowledge about the future, and so on, all that, and seeing the interrelationship between intelligence, wisdom, and truth, and seeing the whole of that, would you call that wisdom?
Well, you could call it wisdom, you could call it truth, you see, but
yes.
To me, the notion of intelligence also gets across something more detailed in the sense of meeting the individual situation. In other words, that we could say truth meeting the actual individual situation is intelligence. I don't know if that makes sense. In other words,
I see what you mean.
Truth is the universal or the global. That's of course it's all one, but I mean we divide it in our description. Our language is dualistic.
Right. But
truth is the universal or the global, but when it meets the individual actual situation, we call that intelligence. Do you see? That's the way it occurred to me.
Yes.
In other words, intelligence is what keeps everything in order.
Quite. Intelligence is, yes, quite.
Now, it's not really different from truth, but it's calling attention to a different action or a different way of looking at it. I don't know, a different way of, not exactly of looking, but...
Seeing the whole
yes.
Is wisdom, is truth.
Seeing the whole is truth, and I think that the actions of a man who sees the whole are wise. That's what I would like to put it.
Yes.
And then the very root says, they're wise, meaning they are based on seeing. Actually, since wise means seeing.
Wise means seeing.
It says so in the dictionary, the original
seeing.
meaning. Yeah, based on same root as vide.
Yes, vide.
And intelligence is also seeing, you see, and I think it's merely giving names to different action, to the action of truth, emphasizing the dealing with the intelligence. It seems to me it would involve the ability to deal with every actual case from the seeing.
Yeah, from the seeing.
Yes, and not from memory or from knowledge.
No, that's right.
I see. You see, people might think that they want wisdom consisted in accumulating a great deal of knowledge. You see, this tradition, they get so much knowledge that they would know how to deal with every individual case, and they would think that's wisdom. You see, but that's wrong. One of the points of wisdom is for thought to understand that it cannot possibly find an answer to that which it itself produces. Do you see?
Yes,
that is, when thought produces contradiction, it cannot find an answer.
What does that word come from?
Well, I looked up that.
First of all,
wisdom has the same root as wit, and it has the same root as seeing, like video, and wit is the same word.
Wit, oh yes.
Witness, probably, and wisdom.
First of all, how do you want to approach it? Can wisdom be learned?
Well, it is a difficult question. You see, it can't be learned in the usual sense. The question is there any way of imparting wisdom?
Yes.
In some sense. Conveying it. One of the definitions that stuck in my mind was that it was a capacity for sound judgment.
Capacity for sound judgment.
That's one of the phases of it. As in this area where thought properly functions, then thought will be capable of sound judgments. Yes, well, looking at the dictionary, that's, see the word wise, I've made a mistake. Yes, that was right, from a root based with, or Aryan-based with, meaning to see, or to know.
To know, that's right.
Right. The same root as vide in Latin and idea in Greek. And wisdom, it says the quality of being wise, that's not much help. Sound judgment, sagacity. Then the second meaning, archaic, is learning, knowledge, and science, the wisdom of the ancients. See, that's another meaning to the accumulated wisdom, but that is not what we mean.
Is it a confusion between knowledge and wisdom?
Well, there has been over the ages such a confusion, you see, but clearly from the root of the word it means not so much knowledge, but the act of seeing or knowing.
That's the act of seeing.
The act of seeing, and is the basic root, but it has also come to mean, apparently, the capacity to make sound judgments, which depends on perception.
Yes.
In other words, judgments are not made from thought or from But
from accumulated knowledge?
No, but from perception. You see that, in other words, I think a sound judgment is the expression and thought of a perception. Yes. In my view, that it would be possible, you see, that it's important to communicate in different ways to see if this thing will come across, you see. Now, and my own feeling is that the communication itself has to be very orderly.
Yes.
Both in verbally and non-verbally, you see.
Non-verbally, quite.
But the order of the communication itself is part of the communication.
Part of, if there is perception of the truth will bring order in words.
Yes, that's it. Yes. Now that brings us to a point that we were discussing before. You see that it will bring order in words and in also the non-verbal action.
Non-verbal action.
And that order will itself be seen by the man as not only what you say, the content of what you say, but the whole order of it.
Yes.
It will be seen, and that seeing will already be a bit beyond reality. I mean.
Quite.
Now, see, we were saying, we were discussing words a few times ago, and one question arose is that it's not clear how words are formed. I remember we discussed this. You know, you can't see yourself making the words,
no.
And you suddenly find yourself saying them without any visible no account of it. You know, you can't account for how it comes about, you see. And one of the questions that occurred to me is, see, I could see there might be two ways of forming words. One way would be from memory, you see, from the habit, all stored up phrases would be just come out from the record and be combined in various ways.
English language, very confusing.
Well, not when you get to know it, I suppose.
Like the word see.
Yeah.
Seeing with the eye, seeing with the mind, seeing with the intellect, seeing with feeling. Seeing.
Yes.
And when you use the word see, all these are implied.
Yeah, well, I think in most languages that sort of thing. But I mean, most of the other languages like French or Italian or so on probably do much the same. No? But it's so that our common language, and I think the word Prakriti just meant the common language, Prakriti, which is the same as our language here, it has all this confusion.
Yes.
And we've had trouble with this confusion now, trying to see what intelligence means and wisdom and truth and so on. But I don't think the language is the main problem. I mean, in other words, this confused language is probably the product of the confused mind.
Yes, quite right. Language is not the main problem.
But I'm interested, you see, in how language forms. Now, you see, the other idea of language, words forming is, like we once discussed, the drum vibrating to the emptiness. The words could form, as it were, directly from truth. Is that?
Yes.
So that you are not thinking the words. In that case, truth can act directly on the physical structure of the brain in some way.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a thing which seems very interesting, you see.